Hello, class, and welcome to the 3.2a lesson. Please watch this video carefully because this is a very important lesson. It is on how to write a linear equation given certain scenarios. It's a really important lesson, okay? Let's start with the first question. Is it always practical to graph to find the equation of a line? Like, should we always graph to find the equation of a line? I would say, hopefully you realize that no, graphing is not always ideal. Because the y-intercept may not always be distinct. Right? We want to make sure. Now, in most situations that we've been seeing in this class, the y-intercept is clear and it's clear and obvious. It's a solid point. But sometimes graphs don't have a clear integer y-intercept, right? So it's not always practical. And in this lesson, we're going to learn how to find the equation of a line given a point and a slope. Okay, let's talk about number 2. Ellie wants to find the equation of a line. She already knows that the line has a slope of 2 and passes through the point 1, 3. Explain to Ellie how she can use this information and the equation y equals mx plus b to determine the y-intercept and write the equation of the line. Okay, so we kind of talked about this last week. This is seen. We know that what we need to do is basically substitute all the given information into the y equals mx plus b, the slope-intercept form equation. So what you would need to do is substitute both the slope and the point into our slope-intercept form equation, right? The only thing that is missing in this case, class, right, is the y-intercept. Solve for b through isolation, right? Out of the 4 things that are in the equation, we know the slope. The slope is m. We are also given a point, x and y, and the only thing that we need to solve for is the b value, which is awesome. Okay, that's easy. So let's go ahead and do that, right? We know that the point the slope is m equals 2, and then the point is going to be 1, 3. So 3 is my y value. So I know that 3 equals m, which is 2, times x, which is 1, and then plus b. So once we solve for b, we realize that 3 is equal to 2 plus b. That basically says b is 1, right? Please make sure you write your b so it doesn't look like a 6, right? That looks like a 6 to me, and you might want to distinguish your b and your 6 somehow. But we know that b is 1, so now let's write the equation. The equation is basically y equals 2x plus 1. Okay. Now, you might even want to double check. How you would double check is if you plugged in 1, 3, or if you plugged in 1, would you get a value for y of 3? And you would. Okay. So that wasn't too bad. That's literally just plugging in and calculating. I'm going to go ahead and skip down to number 4 and number 6 because I noticed that these questions look a little bit more intimidating. This is a very long lesson. You definitely want to try as many problems as possible, but I'm going to go ahead and just try number 4 right away. Okay, we know that the x value here is negative 3. We know the y value here is 1/4. Okay, so the y value is not very friendly. That's okay. We're used to challenging problems, right? We know to plug into y equals mx plus b. Okay, so let's do that. Y is 1/4. M is negative 2/3. X is negative 3. We don't know. I'm going to make the b look like that. We don't know the b value. Okay? All I did was I plugged in y, 1/4, m, negative 2/3, x is negative 3, and I don't know the b value. Okay? So let's go ahead and simplify this a little bit. 1/4 is going to equal negative 2/3 times negative 3. Well, that's a negative times a negative, so that's a positive. And that's really 2/3 times 3, right? 2/3 times 3 over 1. You could see how the 3's cancel. You can cross cancel there, and you really just have a 2. It's just 2 plus b. Okay, so wow, what do I do from here? How do I get b isolated? You could say subtract 2 from both sides. You know what? I'm going to do a little bit of a special move here. I'm going to make the 2 in 8/4, right? Now, hopefully you understand why I did that. 1/4 is equal to 8/4 plus b. So the reason why I did that is because I could solve for b using the same terms as 1/4. I subtract 8/4 from both sides, and I'm getting b is equal to negative 7/4. Okay, go ahead and box that. It's not the final answer, but you still want to box it, just so you know exactly what it is. Okay, now I'm going to go back and give the answer in slope-intercept form, which we know is just y equals, well, the slope is negative 2/3 x, and then I have a negative 7/4 as my b value. You could see how these questions are not getting any easier, but that's okay, right? We are getting used to challenging problems like this. Okay. Let's take a look at number 6, a very interesting one. The 6 has a slope of m equals 0. Okay, that actually doesn't, that makes our life a little bit easier. I'm going to rewrite the equation, y equals mx plus b every time. We know that the y value is negative 2/5. The m value is 0, which is hilarious. X value is 2/5. So we know that really this is going to explode and go away, right? So our b value is essentially this number right there. And if our b value is equal to negative 2/5 and we don't have a slope, then we know that it's an isolated y, right? We know that there is no m, there is no x, therefore the x doesn't even matter. And we know that the final answer is just y is equal to negative 2/5, right? Y is equal to negative 2/5, we know is a horizontal line that is slightly less than the x-axis. Can't really even see that. Let's scoot it up a little bit. It's an isolated y equation. Okay. Obviously, class, there's a lot of practice to be done. You do want to try 3 and 6 for your own benefits, but let's keep moving. Okay. So now, if you look at this page, they're giving us the graph. They're giving us 2 solid points, and they're asking us to find the equation. Now, sometimes it's easier than others, and if you look at number 7, the reason why number 7 is decently easy is because the y-intercept is provided. But if you look at number 8 and if you look at number 9, unfortunately, the y-intercept is not a distinct point, so it's not as easy. You can't just calculate the slope and already have the y-intercept, okay? So let's just do this slowly. Number 7 is kind of easy because the y-intercept is 4. And if I calculate the slope, I know, well, first of all, let's write the b value is 4 because that's the y-intercept. And then I know that all I have to do is calculate the rise of 1, 2, and then the run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the rise is 2, the run is 6, which means it's 1/3. Okay, so in this case, we kind of lucked out. Having a distinct b value is very, very nice, but you can't expect it all the time. Okay, that was done in about 1 minute, 30 seconds, something like that. Okay, here, number 8, not as easy. So I'm going to go ahead and just write down my 2 points. And unfortunately, you're going to have to calculate the slope and utilize one of the points. So I'm going to just write down this point. This is 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 5, right? Now, for me, I've always been an algebraic calculating person, but when you are given a graph, why don't we just utilize the rise over the run and calculate the slope that way, right? So we know now you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, rise of 9, and then a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a rise of 9 and a run of 6, which simplifies to 3 halves. Now, could you have just calculated the slope algebraically using the slope formula? Let me remind the class what the slope formula is. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You could have done that as well, but I think if you're given a graph, we should definitely utilize the graph. Okay, so now I have a point class, 3, 5, and I also have the slope. So what you have to do is you plug it into y equals mx plus b, right? Y equals mx plus b. The 5 is going to be the y. The m is 3 halves. The x is 3. We don't know the b value. Okay, so go ahead and do this. 3 halves times 3 is 9 halves plus b. And really, I hope you realize 9 halves is kind of like 4.5, right? 4.5. So 4.5 plus what is equal to 5? Now, if you said b is equal to 1/2, you are correct. B is equal to 1/2. Okay, so now we finally solved for b. We did get the slope initially, and we basically have our equation, right? This is a very, very important skill. I know this takes a lot of time, but it's something that you want to be comfortable with. Our answer is going to be y is equal to 3 halves x plus 1/2. Okay, I'm going to skip number 9, but definitely want to utilize this in your practice. Let's take a look at number 10. It's always good, class, to utilize and see someone's work, see what they're doing, and see if you agree with their steps. Kate wants to find the equation of a line that passes through the points -2, 1, and 3, 6. Instead of graphing, Kate does the following work to find the equation. Explain each step in Kate's process. Okay, so she might not have made a mistake. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Maybe she's just showing her work. Okay, so what I've always instructed you to do, class, is always label x1, y1, x2, y2. You could see that 6 minus 1 is, that's the y2 minus y1 process. And then 3 minus -2 is the x2 minus x1 process. So what Kate is doing is she is solving for the slope given 2 points. That is totally fine. I said that we could do that, right? She calculates that the slope is 1, and then she's utilizing 3, 6 and plugging it in. Now that she has the slope, and a point, she is plugging into slope-intercept form. In the values to slope-intercept form to solve for B, right? She isolated B. And then finally, took the slope and the B value and plugged it in for the equation. Okay, this process is totally fine. You'll actually realize, class, that you might want to utilize this process more often than not. You don't really expect to have a graph all the time, right? Sometimes if I just give you 2 points, you should be able to calculate the equation of the line. Okay, step 1, calculate the slope. Step 2, solve for B. Step 3, plug in the slope and the B value into slope-intercept form. Okay, a lot of good stuff that we just talked about. Please review this video if you have any questions, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.